Some people in this world have grit.
Down and he is hurt. Oh my God.
I dropped the microphone and lost all my professionalism and ran over to see what had happened to my friend. He said, "Frank, help me." And I said, we're getting a stretcher. We're getting out of here. We're going to get you to the hospital. You're going to be okay. I had no idea. I thought he crushed his ribs because he was, bloody in the mouth. And his nose was bleeding. The bone was sticking out. I said, no. I said, I'm going to walk out. Help me, Frank. I'm going to walk out. So he got up, put his arm around me, and we walked out of Wembley Stadium.
I'm all done. I'm going to walk.
You goes too far, babe. We'll never make it.
I can make it.
You proved enough, pal.
Take me out. Let me walk out. Please let me walk out.
They wanted to see me because I fell so hard so many times, and they wanted to see me get up. They wanted to see me get off my back.
Evel Knievel had true grit.
I always thought, I can do this. I'll never run out of guts, never run out of bullets. I was Superman. You either have it or you don't. It's part of your life or it's not. If you have a dream and you want to reach for it, no matter how impossible it may seem to you, for God's sake, do it. Anybody that's afraid of dying is crazy.
Those with true grit live by their own rules.
When I walked out in the middle of Wembley Stadium, clear over the Atlantic Ocean, clear in London, England, I'd drawn 100,000 people to a jump.
He had not been in Wembley Stadium other than to check his ramp, and they brought in these 13 double-deck English buses and lined them up. He looked out there and he said, hell, I can't jump that far.
They said, well, what are you going to do? He says, well, what the hell do you think I'm going to do? I'm going to jump. What do you want me to do, give these people their money back?
And it was eerie because the motorcycle almost chased him down the ramp. He kept hitting it on the way down.
They wanted to see me stand up in that red, white, and blue uniform and say, I'm no quitter. Player, no anybody could have ever lived a better life than I. And what do you measure that on? It's the things you do in life, the impossible. Was a wide open town when I was a kid.
Butte was a tough town, and today it's still a tough town.
Most of the people were employed as miners. It's a dangerous, difficult job.
There were more bars per capita, I think, than anywhere in the United States there. And there were much more brothels, whorehouses there at that time than there were in Boston or San Francisco per capita.
That's where Evel Knievel came from, and I think he kind of had that sense of danger instilled in him, and he also had that sense of, flirting with danger, flirting with disaster, and fighting with death.
Well, my mother and dad were divorced when I was very young, and she went away to Reno, and my dad, he moved away to California. After a year, I just ended up in the hands of my grandparents.
Nick was born 11 months after Evel, after Bobby, and the two boys were left to be raised by their paternal grandparents, Ignatius and Emma Knievel.
Boy, I'll tell you, my brother and I, we were two of the most loved children. They just did a wonderful job.
Let's go down to the fairground, go down side by side. Let's remember what life was like when life was a wild ride.
I was a young kid, probably 8 or 9, when I saw that automobile Daredevil show, that Joey Chitwood show. I'd go home and take the fenders off of my bicycle and put those clothespins and cards on it so it'd sound like a motorcycle. I found a garage door. I took that garage door and set it up on a wash tub and started to jump off it, made a ramp off of it. And then on the other side, eventually I made a catch ramp, found another door, and jumping over, baby breath caught on fire. I did everything on that bicycle that you could do as a daredevil.
At 15, Bobby traded in his bike for a motorcycle. By 16, he was a high school dropout and small-time crook.
Everybody thought Evel was crazy. I mean, the things that he used to do.
To smash a window right on the main street and take all the jewelry out of it, it was nothing for us to do. We just did it.
He got arrested and was thrown in jail. In the cell next to him was a local criminal named William Knievel, who had the name Awful Knievel. So as the story goes, the jailer said, "Hey, double the guard, we have Awful Knievel and Evel Knievel." Supposedly that's when the name Evel Knievel was coined.
I was caught with 1,500 hubcaps under my grandma's front porch. And at that time, the police said, "Now look, here's what you're gonna do. You're either gonna go to jail, you're gonna go to the penitentiary, you're gonna join the Army." I didn't like the Army real well. I didn't like the infantry. I didn't like to be told what to do.
He was kind of a renegade kind of guy, you know what I'm saying? He kidnapped his wife.
Great gal.
I looked high and low and far and near and couldn't find a girl that I thought was prettier than her.
Her parents didn't like her to associate with him because he had that little reputation.
I was a pretty rough character. So one night I figured, the hell with it, I'm gonna take her.
Steady old part of the city where the sun refused to shine.
I jumped out from behind the garage. I got on the skating rink. I skated up behind her and grabbed her by the hair.
Now my girl, you're so young and pretty.
I took her and I said, "Now you get in my car." She loved me. I mean, she really did. She was between the hard spot and a rock with me. And she said, "You're gonna get in trouble over this." Boy, her dad had put out an APB for me all over the state of Montana to get me and grab me for kidnapping. They charged me with kidnapping. So she went up to the sheriff's deputies, the sheriff's department. She told the sheriff and the deputies up there, she said, "He never hurt me. He never did anything to me. We were just going to try to get to Idaho to get married, and we couldn't." So I signed an agreement that I could never, ever see her.
We gotta get out of this place if it's the last thing we ever do.
3 months later, I said, "Look, I love you, and if you want to marry me, well, let's get out of here and go get married."
Me and you.
She said, "Well, my dad's going fishing tomorrow, going up to Green Lake, and that'll give us a couple days to get away from here." So my grandma gave me her Volkswagen and $50, I think. We went to Dillon, Montana. We got married, and we were married for a couple days before he ever came back down from the mountains.
Coming up, Mr. Knievel goes to Washington. This is CT True Grit, Evel Knievel.
He went and had a tryout with this minor league team called the Charlotte Clippers in the Eastern Hockey League, and he figured he just couldn't make it as a professional to earn enough money to earn a living.
So I formed the Butte Bombers. I got 6 guys from the University of Montana and 6 from Montana State. They were all Canadian, to come to Butte and play for me on the weekends.
They're fairly successful, but they only played like teams from around the area.
I was the coach and the general manager and the starting center, and I was the guy that cleaned the locker rooms up.
Sort of the big moment in the Butte Bombers' history was in 1960, when the Czechoslovakian national team was touring the United States on the way to Squaw Valley for the 1960 Olympics. So Evel brought him to Butte to play an exhibition game against the Bombers.
You could only check in between certain lines, and you couldn't board anybody or knock them down. And, hell, we were out there just knocking everybody around that we could, because really it was the only way we could win the game. These guys were just great players.
The Butte Bombers got creamed. I think 21-3 was the final score. But it was kind of a nice little accomplishment. And then there's the whole story about the $8,000.
I think I wrote them a bum check for coming to Butte. I said, well, they aren't supposed to get anything anyway. They're amateur hockey players, so I don't think I wrote them a check that cleared. At that time, I wouldn't have given a damn if I did or not anyway.
Well, I'm gonna raise a fuss, I'm gonna raise a holler.
Evel found out that the federal government planned to manage the elk herd in Yellowstone National Park by slaughtering half the herd of 10,000 elk.
They just slaughter these elk. They kill them in Yellowstone Park instead of trapping them and transplanting them.
And he decided, well, I need to do something about it. So he had a giant set of elk antlers, apparently from an elk that he hunted himself, and decided to hitchhike across the country to Washington, D.C. to meet with President Kennedy.
I'm gonna take 2 weeks, gonna have a vacation. I'm gonna take my problem to the United Nations.
I couldn't get a ride. I mean, it was horrible. Finally, I got to Washington, D.C., and Senator Mike Mansfield, who was the Senate Majority Leader, he got me in the White House to see the president. He said that he couldn't handle it himself. He was glad to meet me, and he thought I had a good cause, but he wanted me to go over and see Stuart Udall, who is the Secretary of Interior.
Well, I called my congressman, and he said, quote, I'd like to help you, son, but you're too young to vote.
I sat there for about a half hour, and he had papers stacked on his desk, and he was signing and signing. And I just got upset, so I walked in there and I turned the briefcase upside down and I just dumped it on his desk. And he backed up in his chair and he looked up at me and I said, I was supposed to have an appointment with you. The President of the United States sent me over to. He said, you've got something to say. What is it? So I told him, and he said, well, what'd the President say? I said, he said I had a very good idea. He said, well, I'll look into it.
I'm gonna raise a fuss, I'm gonna raise a holler.
Stuart Udall did stop the slaughter.
The important thing from that story was Evel Knievel learned the value of a publicity stunt, doing something odd to get into the papers and make news and draw attention to himself.
Evel's next attempt at making a living found him working both sides of the street.
I just called it the Southside Merchant Place. What it was, actually, was a protection service. I'd just come to you if you were the owner of the store, and I'd say, I'll watch your place. I'll come by here 2 or 3 times a night, and I'll make sure your doors are all locked and your windows are all safe.
There was a couple of them that decided that they didn't need his business, I guess.
The fact of life was, if you paid me, nothing would happen to your place. And then again, if you didn't pay me, something might happen to it.
The ones who wouldn't take his services, you'd end up probably ripping them off later on down the road.
That's exactly the way it worked. I was running a protection service, and how I got away with it, I'll never know. I was just on the wrong track in life. Why didn't I just go get a good job? There was a time I went through in my life that I was involved in a lot of burglaries, safe crackings, and bank robberies. I really got to where I could open a safe, crack one, or peel one, or drill one, and I got to where I could do it in a very short span of time. I just thought if I could get into one place where I could get several $100,000, I'd be ahead of the game. And of course, that's the truth, but the risk you have to take for it is astronomical. I just really thought that I should get out of it.
I like smoking lightning, heavy metal thunder, racing with the wind, and the feeling that I'm
I started to race what we call big-time AMA racing, and I wasn't the fastest in the world, but I won my share of of races, except when I go up to Seattle or Portland. There were some guys up there that were real fast, but I did a good job, and I had a racetrack in Moses Lake, Washington, and I put on the halftime show. For instance, one day I jumped a bunch of rattlesnakes and mountain lions that were staked out at the end of a ramp.
He fell a little short, broke the box open upon landing, and sent the snakes slithering out, and it freaked out the audience.
I met an attorney one time named John R. Lewis. He said, "Do you know something, kid? In your lifetime, no city like this little Moses Lake is going to be able to contain you. No city like Spokane or Seattle is going to be able to contain you. You're going to need the world." He said, "I can see it in you. You're going to need the world."
Coming up, Evel Knievel takes on Las Vegas. This is CMT True Grit, Evel Knievel.
He'd been racing motorcycles for a few years, and he was actually good at it. He won races and so forth, but he realized he couldn't make it as a professional motorcycle racer. So he got together with some other motorcycle racer guys, and remembering the Joey Chitwood Auto Thrill show he saw, he thought, well, he could assemble his own traveling troupe of motorcycle daredevils and go from town to town.
I did a stunt where I'd stand in the middle of the racetrack, and they'd run a motorcycle or a car right straight at me, and I'd jump in the air and spread my legs, and this motorcycle hit me right in the groin and knocked me upside down and flipped me in the air 3 or 4 times, and I never did that stunt again after I got hit once. I'll tell you that. It was murder.
Evel would get injured, and it would be hard for them to put on a full show every time with guys being laid up with injuries. And Evel realized that he was like the star attraction of the show, and so he figured he'd just go out on his own and do it.
Started out jumping 2 trucks, and the promoters, of course, they'd say to me, "Well, you jumped 10 trucks in Indio, how about jumping 11 in Barstow? You jumped 4 or 5 here, and how about jumping 6 or 7 there?" And I just kept getting further and further and further. Here's a guy hanging onto a motorcycle, going further than anybody could jump a car. They just had a liking to what I did in life. And it just took off. Well, I thought if I could ever get permission to jump the fountains at Caesar's Palace, I'd really have something. The world would watch. And I said, "This is Frank Quinn from Life magazine. I'd like to talk to Jay Sarno." I said, "Do you know an Evel Knievel?" He said, "No, Evel Knievel, I never heard of him." I said, "Well, he's this kid that said he was going to jump the Grand Canyon, and he says he's going to jump your hotel over your fountains." And he said, "No, I never heard of him. I never heard anything about it." So I waited 2 more days, and I called him back, and I said, "Well, this is Mike Rosenstein. I'm with True Magazine. Have you ever heard of Evel Knievel?" He said, "No." And I said, "Well, he's the kid that says he's going to jump the Grand Canyon, says he's going to jump over you." "Oh, you mean Evel Knievel?" he said. I said, "No, Evel Knievel." He said, "Evel Knievel, who in the hell is this guy?" So I waited 2 more days, and I called his secretary, Evelyn. I said, "Is Mr. Sarno there?" She said, "No, what can I do for you?" And I said, "This is Evel Knievel. I'd like to speak with him." She puts her hand over the phone. I heard her say, "It's him, it's him." I went in there and threw his arms up in the air, and he says, "Kid, where you been? I've been looking for you," he says. We went out in front of Caesar's Palace. We stepped off the fountains. He says, "You're gonna jump this whole damn thing?"
That Caesar's Palace jump. Have you ever seen anything like that?
Who in the world is this guy, and why would he be doing such a thing?
I was unconscious after that jump for 28 days. I broke my hip in half and I lost an inch on the left side. If I were to do it again, and I knew I'd be alive today, I'm almost 70, I'm 67. I think I'd probably do it all over again.
Here comes this guy in this red, white, and blue star-spangled jumpsuit with a cape and a motorcycle, and he's doing this bizarre thing that nobody had really ever seen before.
I was a real oddball. I mean, I did capture the attention of the world, just like the Beatles and Elvis Presley.
He loved a crowd, he loved to entertain, he loved to be the focal point, but I've known a lot of people like that. Evel took it to an extreme that I've never seen before.
He loved attention, and he did have a traveling entourage of people and vehicles, and it was part of showbiz.
He was huge. I mean, I'm talking about huge. Kids loved him. Their fathers loved him.
Because I was performing around this country like Bonnie and Clyde. I just was.
Coming up, Evel Knievel stares down death at the Snake River. This CMT True Grit, Evel Knievel.
Back in the 70s, he was as big as it got. I mean, he was one of the most famous people in the world. And the thing about Evel was that, you know, he lived the part. Well, there was never a dull moment, let's put it that way.
The Ideal Toy Company signed up Evel Knievel to make Evel Knievel dolls and then a whole set of toys to go along with them.
I made millions of dollars in the toy business. That toy grossed $350 million, which I got a good percentage of.
There's a lot of money, and whatever he took in, he spent almost twice as much.
I had 5 Rolls-Royce automobiles. I had 5 Ferraris. I had a Lamborghini and a Maserati.
He'd give me a handful of $100 bills and put them in my front pocket with a rubber band around it. And then he'd say, "Billy, tip them."
Every time he threw his leg over that XR 750, he didn't know what was going to happen.
You know that I was the kind of a guy that would say to the promoter, "I don't think the jump is far enough, and I don't think the people are getting their money's worth." Why would I do that? Why? I just thought I was Superman.
He likes to say that he came along when America was down on its ass.
Well, he was a contradiction to the 70s. He was very patriotic. He was red, white, and blue.
He said that he got the idea for wearing the patriotic red, white, and blue leathers and the whole kind of American flag because his grandmother, Emma Knievel, during World War II, sort of instilled these patriotic values in him. He would often talk about patriotism and that sort of thing, and at the same time badmouth the Hells Angels.
I didn't have it in for the Hells Angel. Well, in a way I did, because I was a motorcycle rider, and I didn't like the image that motorcycle riders got. They were in the grandstand at the time, and there was a hallway in the Cow Palace. And as I went outside in the Cow Palace and got ready to make my jump, here were the Hells Angels there. And as I came through that hallway entrance, one of them threw a tire iron at me. And it hit me in the back. And here was this guy standing in the middle of the floor giving me the bird. And I just roared that motorcycle at him, and I threw it down, and I slid into him, and I just knocked him straight up in the air and knocked him on his ass.
And so a bunch of Hells Angels jumped out of the stands to kind of defend their brother and beat up Evel Knievel. And apparently some riders in the preliminary motorcycle races at the Cow Palace got into the fight as well.
These drivers and riders gathered around me, and they were not going to let these Hells Angels gang up on me. That's really the only time they could do any harm to anybody, is when they ganged up on you. So they just joined in, and when it was all over, the Hells Angels are the ones that needed the help.
The Hollywood movie Evel Knievel came out in 1971. George Hamilton financed the movie and starred in it as Evel Knievel.
If it is possible, it is done. If it is impossible, it will be done.
I think the George Hamilton movie was a good movie. I know it's been a success in our society throughout the time it was made.
Yeah, that was a pretty big deal. By 1971, he had a Hollywood movie with his name on it, and at the end of the movie, it kind of foreshadows the Grand Canyon / Snake River jump.
In 1974, after 7 years trying to get government permission to jump the Grand Canyon, Evel set his sights on Idaho's Snake River.
When he first announced the Snake River Canyon, it was something that, I know even myself, I sat back and go, wow, is he really going to do that? That's a long, long ways across that.
Would you immediately laugh and say, well, it's a big promotion, it's never going to happen, he's never going to try that.
I will jump the canyon. I'll keep my word. I think I'll make it and live through it.
I wasn't terribly interested until all of a sudden it began to captivate America.
The Sky Cycle, when you look at it, it looks like like Evel says, a big beer can.
Basically a jet engine with a saddle on it. And thinking, oh my gosh, how is this going to happen?
Everybody saw what the first test rockets did, and it knew too good.
0 hour, 9 a.m. Second test, same thing in the river. And I'm gonna be high as a kite by then.
There was no money left to keep shooting test rockets. The way Evel said it, you know what, I said I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna do it.
I miss the earth so much, I miss my wife.
Linda and the family were terrified. I mean, how could you not be?
It's lonely out of space. When he had to say goodbye to Linda and the tears that she was in.
Well, we're gonna leave this house today, and when we shut that door and get in that plane, that when we come home, everything can be changed.
How can you explain a guy like him?
Boy, oh boy, I was lucky I never went insane that day, just thinking I could make it.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
So much blast force that the parachute just came out itself. I went into the rocks. I only landed about 7 or 10 feet from the river.
I figured he was gone. I mean, I mean, he had no protection. I mean, he had a shell, nothing. And all of a sudden I heard somebody yell, "He's alive! He's alive!" And I said, "Oh God, man!" So I just started crying like a baby.
If I'd have made it, everybody would have said it was easy. Then if I'd have missed it and died, they said, well, that was what was supposed to happen to that crazy SOB.
And there's no one there to raise him.
To this day, I don't see any long line of daredevils standing up there wanting to do the canyon jump.
I think it's gonna be a long, long time. I think it's gonna be a long, long time.
He did the Snake River jump in September 1974, and then his big comeback jump was the Wembley Stadium jump, May 26, 1975.
But we got to London, and nobody had a clue who this guy Evel Knievel was, and he couldn't get the press interested, and there was no tickets sold at all for this jump, and they weren't interested. And unlike Americans who were instantly attracted to him, and this guy that crashed at Caesar's Palace, this guy that had the Snake River and almost died there, and he figured they'd get their attention, and he did. He refused to drive on their side of the highway. In other words, he was driving on the wrong side of the road. He was stopped by the bobbies several times, and of course, then he started getting into the newspapers. They asked him why, and he said, well, you must have been bombed out of your minds. He said, if it hadn't been for us Americans, I'd be jumping for the Germans. Now, and that instantly got their attention. And Wembley Stadium was sold out, and he did that on his own. He had not been in Wembley Stadium other than to check his ramp, and they brought in these 13 double-deck English buses and lined them up. And I walked in with him, and we came through the tunnel. I looked out there, and he looked out there, and he said, hell, I can't jump that far.
He said, well, what are you going to do? He says, well, what the hell do you think I'm going to do? I'm going to jump. What do you want me to do? Give these people their money back?
He was different this time. He came down and looked at it. He came down the ramp. He looked out over the buses and looked at me. He said, he told me, he said, Frank, when I give you a thumbs up, that means I'm going to go. And all of a sudden, there came the thumbs up, and down he came.
Caesar's Palace, here he goes, and he will go. He's down, and he is hurt. Oh, my God.
I dropped the microphone and lost all my professionalism, ran over and to see what had happened to my friend.
I tried to ascertain whether or not he's even conscious. Scoot over, please. He's hurt. He's hurt bad. Stay away from me, please.
Crushed his ribs because he was bloody in the mouth. His nose was bleeding. The bone was sticking out. He said, no, he said, I'm going to walk out. Help me, Frank. I'm going to walk out.
They wanted to see me stand up in that red, white, and blue uniform and say, I'm no quitter.
You proved enough, pal.
Take me out. Let me walk out. Please let me walk out. Help me out, Frank. I got you. Go ahead.
He got up, put his arm around me, and we walked out of Wembley Stadium.
No, take me out. Please help me out. I got you, baby. Okay.
Coming up, Evel Knievel's final battle. This is CMT True Grit, Evel Knievel.
From 1967 till 1976, he'd been on Wide World of Sports on ABC some 17 times. And so CBS signed him up for a series of shows called Evel Knievel's Death Defiers. He was gonna do this 90-foot jump over the pool full of sharks. The afternoon of the jump, he decided to do a practice run.
I always thought, I can do this. I'll never run out of guts. Never run out of bullets. Superman. Oh boy, I lost that feeling one day.
When I was younger, I burned some bridges to the ground.
He somehow slipped off the landing ramp and crashed into this cameraman whose camera was set up just off the side of the landing ramp.
I never thought it was time to hang it up until it really was. Something just told me quit. I became human again.
You got a way of stirring up trouble when everything seemed fine.
In 1977, a book that supposedly documented Evel's on-the-road exploits was published. Evel took it personally.
He put in there that I didn't love my mother. He put in there that I was on drugs. He said that I'd been to bed with every woman in my hometown.
Evil,
I had to call my friends and tell them please not to read the book, that I had not said anything like that, that it was not the truth.
You cross him in a way like that, probably something going to happen, and it did.
So now I went after the guy.
He beat up Sheldon Saltman with a baseball bat.
The guy got a beating, and Evel put him in the hospital and ended up going to jail over the thing.
Mr. Knievel, why did you insist on pleading guilty today?
Because I'm guilty of the charge.
Okay, how's that?
Charge is hitting the man with a baseball bat, intending to do bodily injury, and I did it.
So he awarded this Saltman $12.5 million. To this day, Saltman hasn't got any money, and he's still chasing him.
Ideal discontinued the toy line, and Warner Brothers decided not to film any more Evel Knievel movies. And Harley Davidson no longer sponsored him, and I think he just kind of had a falling out with everybody he had business associations with. They didn't want to have a felon as their spokesman.
The sad part of it is, he pretty much lost everything at that point.
He lost his house, and he lost all his toys, the planes, the boats, the cars, the fur coats.
But you know what, to Evel, he didn't lose everything. It was just time to restart, and that's exactly what he did.
That's what makes you so scary.
By 1997, Evel's 38-year marriage to Linda was over for good.
I had been away from Linda for a couple of years because Linda got Christianity and just thought that she would be better off leading another way of life, which I didn't want to stand in the front of, but I didn't want to join her.
It'd take a lot to be married to Evel for that long, but Linda was really good, and to this day I know Evel loves her as much today as he did back in the early days.
In my opinion, God never made a woman that could be an angel more so than he could Linda.
He met Crystal on the golf course when I think he was about 52 and she was about 21, and they met in the early 90s in Florida.
Without Crystal around, I don't know that he'd want to be around. I really don't. She's so good to him, and he's very fortunate to have a person like that loves him that way too. So it's thank God for her.
She's been through a bleeding esophagus, staph infection, liver transplant, alcoholism first, and then those other things, then liver transplant.
Evel's liver transplant was something that if it didn't happen immediately, he was going to die. And I remember getting a call a couple days later from Crystal saying that they did get the liver and that he was in surgery, and he just pulled right through it like he has everything else.
The worst thing that happened to me was I had trouble breathing. And I didn't know it at the time, but because of the liver transplant, I suffered IPF, that's idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis. The doctors gave me 2 years ago 5 years to live. I carry an oxygen tank with me, and I really been having trouble breathing, and it's not as bad now as it's going to get. But I'm getting used to this, getting ready to die.
Think in terms of bridges burned.
My name is Evel Knievel. I'm a professional daredevil.
Think of seasons that must end.
I've always felt where there is little risk in life, there's little reward.
See the rivers rise and fall.
I'm kind of proud of that red, white, and blue #1 I wear on my shoulder, and I want to keep it on there.
They will rise and fall again.
I don't know why I did what I did. I did what I did. I do what I do because I'm Evel Knievel.
Everything must die again. Like an ocean to a shore. Like a river to a stream.
I will not be called a phony under any circumstances.
Like a river to a stream.
A motorcycle doesn't have wings, and a man who's supposed to be a professional ought to realize when he's jumped far enough.
It's the famous final scene.
With his lung problem, he struggles every day. I mean, if you watch him try to walk, 30 or 40 feet, that's a chore for him.
Now the lines have all been read.
He just is an amazing guy. I don't know how to describe. I've never known anyone like him.
And you knew them all by heart.
He still has the charisma, the courage, the passion, the dedication to get out and do great things for people.
Here it comes, the hardest part. Trying to handle love alone. Feeling different, feeling strange. This can never be arranged.
I have no qualms about dying. In fact, I'm looking forward to it. I really am. I don't know. I really think that maybe we were put here from another life to live, and that God is testing us in this life, just maybe like He tested us in a life before. And as human beings, we become such a human being that who knows what I was before. I might have been a soldier, or I don't know what I could have been, but evidently while I'm here now, this time, I'm a daredevil.
As the light fades from the screen, from the famous final scene,